I never thought I'd be the kind of person to sit down and make a YouTube video. Well, that's a lie. I've thought about it before, but I've never actually, like, committed to it. I wanted to talk about Good Omens Season 3 because, you know, I'm seeing a lot of people talk about it, obviously. But I think a lot of people are missing the point. I've seen a lot of hate towards the ending, which I understand. It wasn't necessarily a happy ending, and we were all kind of hoping for a happy ending because those fuckers have been through so much, you know? But at the end of the day, it was a happy ending. I've seen a lot of people, the thing I really wanted to talk about is that I've seen a ton of people saying things like, these are, for the human, you know, Azafel and Anthony J. Crowley, they're saying, like, oh, these are these two people that we don't even know who just have their faces. I don't agree with that. And here's my theory. Maybe this wasn't what was intended, but I just wanted to provide my theory because it's brought me a lot of peace, and I think it maybe might bring some of you a bit of peace. I think when Aziraphale and Crowley and everyone was vaporized, I think the fragments of who they were still existed, even though the Book of Life technically got rid of them. I feel like their essence was still there, because everybody's essence was still there at the end of the day. Michael was haunted by the people she killed, right? I don't know, this is just a fan theory. But I think everyone who did exist at one point was brought back in the new universe in a new way. I think those fragments were always going to come back together. I think there was always going to be a reuniting of sorts with anyone. I feel like in any universe, Aziraphale and Crowley are Aziraphale and Crowley. I think it genuinely is them. I don't think it's just these two people who happen to share their face. I think there's something... I know they said we're going to create a new universe, no God, no ineffable plan. But I feel like in that unknowing, ness of creating a whole new world, I think there was a level of ineffability, if that's a word, that was gonna happen regardless. And I think part of that ineffable plan was that Aziraphale and Crowley are always going to be Aziraphale and Crowley. And at some point, they would meet, they would fall in love, and they would be happy in their own way. I loved the idea of them both feeling like they've met the other before when they've never seen them before. I love the idea of them feeling this sense of, like, a click. Like, just this, like, I know you. And I don't know why I know you, but I know who you are. And I know that you're my person. I think there's something so deeply romantic about that. And I also think this world might be a better world for them. Because the world that Aziraphale and Crowley were living in, they were pitted against each other. And this world, there was never a worry about that. The Metatron, who I guess now is, what's his fucking name in the, Jeffrey? I forgot. Clearly he's a very different person in this new world because he actively encouraged Aziraphale to go after him. That is such a difference because it's really just occurring to me now. In the other universe, he took Aziraphale away from Crowley. In this universe, he's sending Aziraphale to Crowley. And I think that is the best way of illustrating that this world provided Aziraphale and Crowley what they always wanted without ever having to really fight for it. A quiet, happy, loving existence where they could just have bliss together. And I think that's providing them something really special. And I think them becoming one with the thing they loved so much, humanity, really is something special. And obviously, Good Omens is fiction, but another part of me is very... the idea that the world I live in right now exists because Aziraphale and Crowley loved each other and loved humanity so much that they wanted to create a fair world. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts. I know people are going to disagree with me. That's fine. You're allowed to not like the finale. That's fair. You're allowed to be disappointed, right? Because, like, we all had our own ideas of what was going to happen. If you were really excited for a possibility of your idea to happen, and it didn't, that's really disappointing. And if the style of it wasn't something you were interested in, that's completely fair as well. And listen, it's not above criticism. It was rushed because, I mean, they didn't really have any other choice. But I think for what they had the time to do, they did a really good job. I really wish it could have been 6 episodes. There's so much in there that I think really could have been, like, nailed down. There's a lot of stuff that really could have been, like, expanded on, a lot of, like, the lore even more, right? And that stuff with Michael, I mean, that was going to be a way longer... You could tell that was really, really rushed. You could tell that there was, like, definitely more, like, suspense that was going to be built. But yeah, and I wish we could have seen a little bit more Jesus. He was a really fun character. I really liked him. I will go back to my existence of trying to keep up with schoolwork while I deal with this new reality I live in where Good Omens is over. Like, oh my god. I'm going to try to be a good college student and get what I need to get done, and terrorize my loved ones with my obsessions. Luckily, I know plenty of people who are also struggling right now with the Good Omens, and plenty of people who are also in agony right now over Good Omens, so I will not be alone. I probably will be posting some Good Omens edits that I want to make. If you're familiar with The Good Place, spoilers for The Good Place, if you want to see, please watch The Good Place if you haven't seen it. It's excellent. But there's a part at the end where a character is talking about returning back to just the fabric of our reality after being completely gone, and I kind of love the idea of that applying to Aziraphale and Crowley, and I kind of like to imagine that they spent more time in their little garden bookshop. I love the idea that they just sat, they didn't just immediately go to God and the devil. I love the idea of them just, like, talking and making the most out of what they know will be their last moments, because they have all of eternity to just sit there and take as much time as they need. And I don't know, I really like the idea that is what happened canonically. I'm also going to be making a video edit to Time After Time for sure, because of course I heard of that song before, and of course I loved that song before, but actually listening to the lyrics more closely, it fits them so beautifully. And I've just been, like, playing it on repeat and thinking about, like, the specific clips I'm going to be putting in specific places. I have no timeline for any of this stuff. I do this for fun. Like I said, I'm a full-time college student. I have more important things to do. I have bigger fish to fry. I kind of am more focused on making sure that I can support myself in the future and do something that I'm really passionate about. But yeah, I had a lot of fun filming this little thing. You know, even if, like, no one sees this, it was fun to just kind of yap into the void. Maybe, maybe I'll record this and delete it after. I don't know. It was fun. I liked this. I had no script, so I just kind of rambled. Stay strong. If you're like me and you have like such strong emotional attachment to fictional characters, a lot of this stuff probably felt like a gut punch. That's how it felt for me. So, just a reminder that it's okay that you're feeling like this sense of grief and loss. It's okay that you feel this strongly emotionally impacted by a show. Like, that's okay. You're not like weird or crazy for that. Like, that's beautiful that we are able to be so deeply, we're so deeply like connected to the media that we love that it hurts us. You know, it's that whole idea of just like grief is proof that you loved something very deeply. And that applies to media. That doesn't just have to apply to real things, you know? And if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed by all your emotions like I am, remember how you felt after season 2. And at least I hope those feelings did fade over time. You know, you still got like, oh my god, whatever you saw, like a clip of the kiss or whatever. But it faded, and you weren't as upset about it over time, and you were able to calm yourself down and feel okay. Remember that you eventually were okay. So even though it might not feel like it now, you're gonna be okay. Alright, I've done like a million caveats before making the ending of this, so I am going to, for real, say goodbye now. Thanks for sticking around and watching this, if anyone is here. Yeah, have a great day.